I want to talk about this today because the story is blowing up everywhere. Nick Bosa has posted on X for the first time in 4 years following Ryan Clark's firing, and the timing has people talking because these two already have some history. It all goes back to 2024, when Nick Bosa made a political statement after the San Francisco 49ers game against the Dallas Cowboys. Here's exactly what happened.
In the first half, what was said during halftime? Hey, all right, Nick Bosa with a message there.
Some discussion you had a hat on that was not the hat you're currently wearing in the post game. Why did you take that opportunity to make what would appear to be a political statement?
I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's an important time.
After that, Ryan Clark responded on social media by posting a video, and we're about to play that clip for you. His main argument was that the same people who usually say athletes should shut up and dribble suddenly have nothing to say when a player expresses a political opinion they happen to support. Yet, when athletes like LeBron James or Colin Kaepernick use their platform to speak about the political climate in the United States or issues beyond sports, those very same critics are quick to tell them to stick to basketball. With that in mind, let's take a listen to what Ryan Clark had to say.
When Nick Bosa shows up in a MAGA hat during Brock Purdy's interview, he knows exactly what he's doing. Never before has sort of partisanship had divided the country in the way that it has. Since 2016, that's been what it is. And when you say make America great again, what was so great about it before? What part of America are you trying to get to? Based on what we're hearing coming out of many of these campaign rallies, there's only one side that truly degrades and speaks negatively of the differences in other people, where they're from, the colors of their skin. There's only one side that does that. And I've worked really hard since 2016 to try to separate the people that support Republicans from the Make America Great Again people, because it was hard for me to believe that you weren't racist, right? And there's a long following of Nick Bosa's tweets where it's a lot of pushback against the culture, which is weird because in the locker room, it's such a melting pot of people where you accept one another's differences. I also think it's sort of ironic this happens in San Francisco, where Colin Kaepernick legitimately lost his career, not because he said America is a bad place, because he said, I want to make America a better place for people like us. Not because he said that he wants brown and black people to be superior to others, but just equal. He wanted their lives and our lives to matter as much as everyone else's life. The MAGA movement has been very clear that all lives don't matter the same, that all people aren't sort of deserving of the same treatment, of the same compassion, of the same level of life and liberty. And so I do think that the shut up and dribble thing that always is told to the LeBron Jameses when he speaks up against police brutality, to the Colin Kaepernicks when he speaks up against police brutality, to all of these athletes who were involved in movements in 2020, it only seems to go to the athletes that look like us, to the people that are speaking for the marginalized and the minorities as opposed to the majorities. Because when 45 called Colin Kaepernick and other people who kneeled sons of bitches, nobody told him to keep politics out of sports. So it seems very clear to me. Nick Bosa understands that when you wear that hat, you take a side. You take a side of division in a sport that's supposed to bring us together. I'm just waiting for all the people who comment under political and sports things to shut up and dribble or to shut up and play football to tell him to shut up and rush. But they ain't gonna say it because they feel the exact same way he do.
Hold your breath.
Bosa was wearing a Make America Great Again shirt
And I think Ryan Clark called out the double standard because nobody chastised Nick Bosa for wearing the Make America Great Again shirt, but people kept saying keep politics out of sports. So I think Nick Bosa may be hanging on to that moment. Or he had the hat.
This is the tweet that Ryan Clark put out. He said the shut up and dribble mob hasn't attacked Nick Bosa the same way they did Colin Kaepernick and King James when politics were brought into sports. Nick Bosa's MAGA allegiance is no secret, and no one really cares. Still, it's apparent that crashing an interview with a MAGA hat was received differently than black athletes standing up for equality. So his issue with this was essentially Nick Bosa came out and wasn't told to shut up and just play football whenever he came out with his political
We know
allegiance.
it's a double standard.
Yeah.
We know it's a double standard. And this is the thing. We all in here mix up you. I'm mixed, Care Bear mixed, Trey mixed, right? And so it's like, it's perceived. Once Donald Trump became president, if you were wearing the MAGA stuff, it was, oh, you somewhat racist. That's just the perception of it.
Yeah.
Whether you are or you aren't, that was the perception of it. And the NFL was majority African-American players.
Of course.
You have to be cognizant of that. So when you walk into a locker room wearing that, you basically saying, fuck you to my teammates, what you gonna do? Because that's how it is perceived. And so all Ryan Clark was brought attention to that because when Kaepernick did what he did, and Kaepernick wasn't LeBron James. Kaepernick lost his job. You're not doing that to LeBron if he had done what Kaepernick did. And Joey Bosa was a much better player than what Kaepernick was.
Yeah, Nick.
And so Kaepernick wasn't good enough as a player to stand in the face of what was coming in that storm and be standing. He got blown over in that tornado because he just wasn't big enough to withstand that. But Nick Bosa, really? Like, that bothered you to where you were holding on to this for that long? Some of these dudes, I don't understand what they do. Because now you got a Fred Warner on your team. That's the leader of that team. You have a Trent Williams on your team that you're not doing that with them. I don't know. I know Trent, but I don't know him like that. I got to know. I don't understand why guys do this when you have a ton of African American players on you. I would never go into a locker room if I felt it was going to offend anybody on my team, anything that I wore. I wouldn't wear it. I wouldn't wear it because I don't want to get into that. One, when you're a good player on the team, they look at you as being a leader. Just because you're good. I wouldn't want to do that to them.
Now, Nick Bosa has finally spoken up, making his first post on X in nearly 4 years, and many people see it as a clear sign that he approves of Ryan Clark's departure from ESPN. As TJ Hushmanzadeh recently pointed out, it looks like Bosa had been waiting a long time to say something. I'll say this, when it comes to the phrase "shut up and dribble," the first person I remember using it publicly was Laura Ingraham, and she was directing it at LeBron James. I've always thought that was interesting because these athletes are introduced as student athletes, where student comes before athlete. So what exactly do people expect from student athletes? They're human beings with interests and opinions that go far beyond basketball. Sometimes that mindset turns into, you're here to run fast, jump high, and entertain us. But whether you agree with someone's views or not, if they're capable of forming their own opinions and explaining why they believe what they do, even if you strongly disagree, they still have every right to express themselves. The moment you tell someone to shut up and dribble, you're not opening the door for a real discussion about your differences. Instead, you're acting as though your opinion is automatically correct. Theirs has no value, and there's nothing left to debate. That kind of thinking shuts down meaningful conversation before it even begins, because you've already decided they're uninformed, unintelligent, or simply don't deserve to be heard. Then you look at someone like Nick Bosa, who was never shy about sharing his political beliefs, which of course is his right, but the public reaction hasn't always been consistent. I remember when Jerry Jones made it clear that his players wouldn't kneel during the national anthem, yet I don't remember people telling Bosa to leave politics out of sports when he made his own political statement. As many people remember, Bosa was fined $11,255 after wearing a Make America Great Again hat during a post-game interview following the 49ers' victory over the Dallas Cowboys. He later said paying the fine was worth it. Then, in 2025, he was appointed to President Donald Trump's President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Whether people agree with him or not, he's made his views known and has consistently stood by them. As for Ryan Clark, he'll be just fine. He'll continue appearing on The Pivot, and he'll still have a platform to speak on these topics. In fact, now that he no longer has to worry about ESPN's restrictions, he may actually have even more freedom to say exactly what's on his mind. No one can completely silence him. If anything, he'll be able to share his opinions on his own terms. Now I want to hear what you think, not only about this situation, but also about people like Nick Bosa. For years, sports have been one of the few places where people with completely different political beliefs could come together with one shared objective, competing and winning. Those differences always existed. Teammates didn't have to agree on everything, but they still played together, celebrated together, laughed together, and built relationships despite those disagreements. Lately, though, it feels like these issues have become so significant that they're beginning to change what sports once represented. Political views and personal beliefs are increasingly becoming part of the conversation, and before long, those moments grow far beyond the game itself and become headlines across the country.